Let's record this thing. Good morning, everybody. This is the second edition of Stan's Corner, and we're going to discuss the differences in delineating spreads. So let's see what the best. Let's go over to the Goal FX page. I suppose is as good as anything, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. What we're doing here, well, first of all, in what we're doing that's up right now is gold times the euro dollar futures, or we can do it with the cash. And what we're just simply doing is changing the price of gold into whatever currency you're looking at. In this case, now sometimes you're dividing and sometimes you're multiplying. I always like to look at, first of all, the futures is always, the result is always a dollar. How many euros to a dollar? But if you look at the cash, the way CQG puts it, and you look at, for example, EUR USD, if you just kind of take that I and make it a 1, it means, yeah. Except that I'm looking at I'm just looking at, first of all, just talk about the currency. The currency of EUR USD, I always tell the people, look at it and change the I to a 1. I, by the way, just means an index. We get bids and offers, and we calculate a midpoint index.
Okay, so don't let me bring it up as a 1.
No, I don't want it as a 1. I'm just explaining it.
Okay.
So if you make the I in your brain, not on the paper, okay, you make it a 1. It says 1 euro is how many dollars?
Okay.
And if you go to the one above it, it reverses it. 1 Australian dollar is how many dollars? So that will determine whether you're multiplying or whether you're dividing, because you don't want to end up with dollars. You already started with dollars, so you want to change it. Now in CQG, if you in some of these cases, what we did is we multiplied it, but when we multiplied it with the symbol in small instead of uppercase, lowercase, and in CQG that reverses the cross. And we did that for currencies and mainly. So if you have 1 euro equals how many dollars and you type it in small letters, it's now $1 equals how many euros. So it reverses it by using that. But the point here is that whether or not you multiply or divide is making sure that you end up in the currency that you want to look at it in. So that, it's a little bit of a unique thing when you're doing these currencies. Now okay, the euro.
So how's this one delineated here, where we put it gold in euros?
Go here. I'll show you. If we go to the formula box. Oh, that's right. I don't have it on yours.
Hold on. Let me get it over here.
Okay.
Pull it over. Okay.
All right. And if we go to Q formula, and here's the formula, you see it's typed in. Right now, it was 1 euro is how many dollars. That means we'd end up in dollars. Well, that doesn't do us any good. So I typed it in small letters. And now that means now I've reversed it to $1 is how many euros, and that gives us gold in euros. So whether we multiply or divide or how we do it depends primarily on making sure that we end up in the currency that we desire. This is probably unique to CQG. We did that right from the beginning with the currencies because people, for the same things we're doing right now, people wanted to be able to not necessarily see it the way it's traded by the big banks, but why, you know, in a way to use it. And that's what we did here. So the multiplication and the divisions in these spreads, when you're talking about currencies, is depending on what currency you want to get it in. Now you'll notice with the futures, we usually divide because, again, the end result of the futures is dollars. So rather than typing it in small letters, we divide by that figure instead of multiply. But with the physical currency, we can do it either way by using upper and lower case. Now, when you get into the way that you look at spreads here, when you have gold, for example, divided by silver, you know, that's giving you a ratio. So what you're monitoring here is not really a spread, but a ratio between the two. And so we use a division. When we do a spread, we're trying to, you know, now we're doing the difference between the two. And so again, you're looking at a different type of figure. We also can do a percentage where we can take the net change, divide it by the starting price, or the ratio the day before when you're doing the net change. That would give you a percentage in decimals, and then you can multiply that times 100 to get a percentage change. So when we do the spreads, it all depends on what you're looking at. But most of the spreads you're looking at, with the exception of the currencies, are ratios between two figures, rather than an actual spread. Now, what we do in what we have in CQG and what we had open a minute ago is, if we're going to continue to use the same spreads over and over again, we can write them as a Q formula. And then you can and you can see it puts in the name that you put in. And there's a whole bunch of examples that come with the CQG, but you can see here's an example. Go to the second one.
This one?
Yeah. And, you know, so this is old symbols, but this was gold divided by silver times 100. And again, that's giving you a ratio, but it's multiplying it by 100 to put it into whole digits. And this is just one that somebody put in there. I wrote the one with the euros a long time ago for somebody that wanted to do exactly what you're doing, and that is see gold in euros. I think that goes all the way back to the 1980s.
Either Ira or Howard.
Going way back. So, well, I've only been with CQG 20 years, so this was done before. I mean, I did this since 2000. But so that's basically the way you're doing it. So everything most of what you're looking at here are ratios.
Okay, so let's do one other thing here. Let's look at the cattle.
Okay.
LC.
GLE.
Well, I was going to look at like October versus December.
Okay. You can still use GLE.
Okay, GLE. Okay.
And you want V minus GLEZ.
All right, so let's talk about the using minus signs in these type of commodity spreads month to month.
Yeah.
Because if you use a slash, you're not going to see anything.
No, this is a spread difference, and this is calculating the current price, obviously. And what it's doing, if you right click on one of these bars and go to modify spread bar, what you're doing is that you're taking a picture every 5 minutes to create this bar. It's made up with a group of photos And you can set that to whatever you want. If you put in a daily and put it on a daily chart, all you're going to get is a dash. You're not going to get a chart because you're only taking it once at the end of the day. So
Unless you go out and look at it on a monthly basis, then you'll see.
Oh yeah, yeah. Then remember, you're still just getting it with 30 bars, with 30 ticks, 30 pictures. So that tells you how many go. Now, let's go back to 5 on that. But also, let's type in something else now. Type in GLE S1 V. I think they have spreads. Let's see. Hit enter. And
okay. Calendar spreads. Okay.
Now this is a calendar spread futures. Now the advantage to this is that this is actually traded data. It's not pictures. So that when you buy this, you're doing the same thing. You're buying one, selling the other, but it's being traded as a spread. So this data is more accurate, but of course it doesn't have the history because we didn't have spreads before we went electronic. I mean, we did them, but we did them on the floor. So this is a way that most of us look at these now, and it shows you the comparison. Now you can also go up to your chart button all the way on the left, and okay, right click on the top of the chart, and let me see, can I get to it from here? No, let's close this one, close the chart, and right click on the let me see, hold on a second, let me oh, I'm sorry, right click on quote instead of chart, and add quote, and go down to spread matrix. And we can set these up. This actually is a spread matrix, and once it fills in when it's trading, and you could put in CLE, which is trading now, and you could actually see it filled in. Just click on it and type CLE. You just go in the just type in CLE. It's the active window. Should go in. Yeah. And this one should fill in because it's actively trading right now. There should be.
Yeah, well, it's delayed, so that's why it's doing it.
Oh, okay. You're right. Okay. So at any rate, this gives you all of your spreads here, and this is actually set to exchange traded, but we could change our settings and show you both the exchange traded and the synthetic, based on buying the offer, selling the bids. And you can see what it would be like if you tried to leg it. Spreader programs tend to be expensive, and people who tried to beat the spread, even with a spreader, haven't been able to do it. It wasn't worth the money, so they went and they went back to trading the spreads. It was more accurately. It worked more accurate. So and we actually go one deeper, which to go into. We have what we call the spread pyramid, and on the pyramid, we actually look at the two spreads that make up a butterfly, and we actually calculate the butterfly. If there's a butterfly futures, which there is on some, that would actually be shown, but most of the time it's synthetic.
Well, Ira would probably like that because he trades the butterflies in the European debt.
Well, then we can that can be done. You can close this and put it up. I don't want to kill your resources. So go back to quote and right click.
Right click.
Yeah,
Right,
go down to
click.
spread pyramid. That you had it there. Go down to spread pyramid. And I don't know if this came up. Spread it out a little so we can see what we're looking at. See, that's live cattle. Put in CLE again just because it's trading.
Well, here.
Just type in CLE.
Well, here. Okay.
There you go. And you can see how now you have the different month, the individual month prices, the spread prices, and then putting them together, and it will eventually fill in and give you the butterfly. And L is what we use for butterfly, but again, a lot of them, these will be synthetic. There won't be an actual price there because they don't have butterfly contracts. And right now it's not turned on to show you the synthetics, but this can be linked to a chart and linked to the same way the quote board is, where you just click the name and it can populate a trading interface as well as a chart. Now, of course, if you're looking at a synthetic spread, you're not going to be able to just click on it on a regular system and get a trading interface with bids and offers because there aren't any. It has to be legged or spread or one way or the other. So that, and those are your calendar spreads that you know that we look at.
All right, that's great stuff.
The exchange keeps adding, you know, they added these because once we got off the floor, they started, first of all, it was easier to add contracts. So they started adding them. I mean, there are crack contracts. There are crush contracts where you have to specify whether it's a 1 month or a 2 month, because a lot of the times the product that's produced from the source don't expire the same month. Crude oil, for example, expires earlier than the products of the same month. So if you're looking at crack spreads, you have to determine that you don't want them to just roll, because all of a sudden you're going to be looking at, for example, August 20, September 21, or August 21. So you have to set it up with particular contracts when that happens. You have the same thing with the oil, the meal, the oil, and the beans, and so they have different month separations that would allow you to be able to do those, but they're exchange traded, Crush. We also have, while we're talking about this, we have user-defined spreads. Now, I think everybody knows about user-defined spreads in options. That's how we trade our spreads. We create the spread we want, and if it's already been requested, then it'll come up on the trading interface as live. We can do another session, but
I'll have to do another session on this.
yeah, we can set that up. But what I wanted to say while I was doing it is that there are also UDS. You can also do UDS future spreads. We actually don't have that functionality, but they're now starting a project to add that.
Okay.
So it'd be another way to do butterflies and futures is to do your own, to create your own spread, and then it goes out there, it gets listed, and people will bid and offer off your spread. And you have to do an RFQ to get a live quote. Once you have a quote, people will join the action.
Wow. See, it's always informative talking to you, Stan. We'll learn so much every time you come in and give us a little tutorial. Okay, so this is the end of today's mini tutorial on spreads and how to delineate them, and we'll take this up again. Thanks again, Stan, and thanks again, CQG, because CQG is the only place that has these type of capabilities. The spread bars that I follow, the relationship trades, they're the only place where you're going to get full of life historical data They're the only people that go back and make sure that their data is correct. Everybody else will just put out stuff that they're given. So CQG is the way to go.
When you go further back the way your group does, you do get into the issue you just talked about cleaning up data. Once it became electronic, the databases were pretty clean, and any problem the exchange would fix. But prior to that, you had to go in and monitor that, and that was always one of our strong points, was that we had a full crew that spent a lot of time keeping databases clean when the exchange didn't do it. A lot of systems allowed you to change it yourself, but you had to do it. No.
All right.
The answer to that question, Michael, is no. If you use our lower price system, the QTrader, it is a trading interface, and therefore you would, no, we don't clear trades at all. We never have, because our biggest customers are FCMs. So we do not clear trades, but we go through most any other FCM. Most FCMs will let you use route your trades from CQG.
All right. Well, thank you.